Hey folks, Joe Valley here at Quiet Light Brokerage. I'm one of the hosts of Quiet Light Podcast. I am a partner at Quiet Light, as you all know by now. We are an online business brokerage firm. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I've built, bought, and sold over a half dozen of my own companies, and I'm old. I've been self-employed since 1997. Some of you in the audience probably weren't even born then. Some of you might have been in grade school. I did join Quiet Light in 2012, and since then I've sold about 100 million in transactions for Quiet Light clients. And I'm just one of 12 advisors on the team. Our latest just joined us. He's a Shark Tank alumni, cut a deal with Robert, and is coming along doing real well. You'll learn more about him in 2021, if you can imagine. That's this year, now that this is airing. And he's a great addition to the team. Today's episode is brought to you by Quiet Light. We are a small to middle market M&A advisor firm focused on online businesses only. Everyone on the team has built, bought, or sold their own online business and now act as advisors as well to entrepreneurs seeking their own exit. Before I introduce our two guests today, I'd like to give a shout out to Ezra Firestone and the Blue Ribbon Mastermind group. Our guests are members of the group. That's how we met. Quiet Light's been sole sponsors of Blue Ribbon Mastermind for several years. If you are considering joining a mastermind in 2021, check out the Blue Ribbon Mastermind group. There's tremendous amount of value with very successful entrepreneurs that share their stories and help other members of the team as well. And Ezra always shares his own business experience and examples through the businesses that he runs as well. Now, on to our guests today. We've got repeat guests of Quiet Light Podcast, Brian Lejeune and Janine Doe. They're also, strangely enough, entrepreneurs who have built, bought, and sold their own online businesses. They're actually quite qualified to join the Quiet Light team, but they're too busy running and other operations and buying other businesses and being movie stars as well, because they spent some time with our CMO, our documentary producer, Chris Moore, shooting Quiet Giants 3 that is airing shortly through the Quiet Light YouTube channel. Brian and Janine, welcome to the Quiet Light Podcast.
Thanks, Joe. How are you?
You both sort of grimaced and smiled when I said movie stars. Was it because Janine's the real star, Brian, or the other way around?
It was the first time I got to wear makeup.
You got to wear makeup? That's only the first time? Come on, tell us the truth.
No.
Come on.
No, I didn't actually get to.
You didn't? I heard you were barefoot the whole time, though.
I was definitely barefoot.
Shorts. Are you always barefoot?
I'm barefoot right now, if you must know.
Go ahead and show us.
Nah.
YouTube channel. Come on. Let's
that might be hard. Yeah. All right. I'm often barefoot. Yeah.
All right. So, folks, Brian and Janine, part of the Blue Ribbon Mastermind group. I saw them at multiple events over the course of a couple of years. Not just Blue Ribbon, but they travel as part of their entrepreneurial life. They get up and go whenever they can and get to write it off through the business. So it's a wonderful life in that sense. But they had a business. You can listen to prior episodes of the Quiet Light Podcast where we went in depth about their business that they sold. We closed in March of 2020,
yes.
Right?
Yep.
And
exactly.
And if I recall, we'll just a quick refresher for the people that are listening for the first time. It was a multi-seven-figure deal. You'd owned the business for 2.5 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. And you made most of the money on the exit because it was growing so fast that you were just taking, as Janine said, you're wiring all the money to China just to get more inventory, right?
Exactly.
Where's the money in your own bank account? But the money hit the day before or the day after the pandemic hit and everything was shut down, right?
Yeah, right at that same week. Yeah. It couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah. Like the stock market literally crashed 20% that same day.
Oh, talk about peace. At least it was, you didn't, thankfully we didn't close earlier. We had some struggle closing because of a lot of different things. Again, folks, in depth, just Google incredible exits, Janine and Brian, and you'll get the full story. We'll link it in the podcast notes as well there. That solves that problem. But it's good that we didn't close earlier because you might have put that in the market and then lost 20% pretty quickly.
Right.
Although you might have done some other things with it. So again, folks, they had a business that took off like a literal rocket ship, sold it, and have since then now bought 2 additional online businesses, if my math is right. You had started one before you had exited that. That's still running. And then you've bought 2. You bought them both through Quiet Light, oddly enough, and thank you very much. One that you closed yesterday with Walker that is in a different niche and a little different comfort level for you, but you're entrepreneurs and you'll work through it and figure it out, I'm sure. But let's just talk about the movie star status, because your full story is really going to be told in that short film that Chris produced with you. But to recap it quickly, educational wise, you're not both trained entrepreneurs. You're both pharmacists by training. Do you have, I know one of you, do you both have your master's or PhD? Help me out with reminders.
I have a doctorate degree. He just has just a 5-year degree.
Do you require that he calls you Dr. Doe?
You can. Sure.
I never have. Would you like me to do that from now on?
No. Janine is fine.
You never have, Brian?
Makes me sound old if you call me that. So Janine is fine.
Janine's fine. Okay. Dr. Janine. I like that, actually. So both incredibly well-educated, both from the pharmacy field, and then you jumped into this crazy Amazon space, and business took off. Brian, I know that you had other brick and mortar retail businesses before you were in the online space, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I think you beat me by a year. I started my entrepreneur journey 98.
98.
Purchased my first business.
And you've got gray in your chin too. So it's just, it's if you're an entrepreneur before the year 2000, you've got to have some gray in your chin. Even if you color it, I think it's a rite of passage. Yeah. It's a rite of passage.
Yes.
All right. So,
and most of those businesses as well, I bought, so I did start a few on my own, but I bought a lot of them, built them up, sold them off, kept one for almost 20 years. So,
whoa.
Yeah.
So entrepreneur wise, do both of you guys come from a lot of money and you just use family money to buy these businesses and build them?
Not quite.
That'd be nice.
Not quite. Not at all, actually, right? Debt-wise, Janine, you've got your PhD. That's pretty damn impressive. But you had how many hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of student debt?
It was $197,000 when I graduated. Yeah.
Wow. Did you pay that off with the sale of the business?
That's one of our goals, but I'm not sure what we're doing with that yet. I'm just having so much fun buying more businesses to work on. I'm like, you know what? My student loans like 5%, 8%. I would much rather use my cash and buy and build a brand I can flip for like 100 times that.
You just said buy and build. Are we promoting Walker's book at the moment? Because I know you closed a deal with him yesterday.
I think so.
Maybe it's just a title that people have said enough that he stole it and put it on the cover of a book, and now everybody says buy and then Walker Bible. All right, we're not going to promote your book, Walker.
The greatest business hack there is, I think.
Just buying one. Yeah. So now let's talk about that as serial entrepreneurs and documentary movie stars. Quiet Giants 3 is what we've shot. It's airing this week. Folks, go to, you'll see it in your inbox, everyone, but go to YouTube and just search for Quiet Giants 3. It tells Brian and Janine's full story with where they grew up, where they spend their time, what they do in their hobbies, and gives much more background about where they came from in order to become successful exitpreneurs, if you will, serial entrepreneurs, and now running 1, 2, 3 different brands.
3 brands, yeah.
And I'm sure you're not quite done yet. But let's talk about the filming of it. Was it just awesome to sit around for 12 hours a day and be told where to go and what to say? Was it fun? Chris is a fun guy. He must have made it
Chris is fun.
Chris is definitely fun.
No, the following around, doing kind of what we love, that was fun. Being filmed, awkward, but still fun. So getting out in nature, we were hiking, we were going out to eat. So it's not like we're doing anything stressful. Sitting down for the interview, a little stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
is it much less stressful because you don't actually have a guy with a camera in your face? You've just got your computer in your face, and we're filming this too. This isn't stressful compared to that though, right?
No, very different.
Yeah.
The lights, the camera, the different camera angles.
Yeah.
Them making sure every piece of lighting is perfect in the background and you trying to kind of keep your focus. And it's challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, you didn't have a great person interviewing you for the film, whereas now you do. It's a big difference, right?
That could be it. Yeah. We won't tell Chris.
Janine, yes? Affirmatively?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. So you spent 2 12-hour day filming with Chris, I think?
Yes.
Like that? Well, no, it was 3 days.
It was 3, but 2 full days, and then it was 3 full days.
The first day was interview, talking. The second 2 days was the city and the restaurants.
Okay. Yeah, so it was 3 days.
And it was telling each of your stories on where you came from and wrapping it up with the successful exit of one of your businesses, yes?
Yeah, we went back to our hometown childhood homes, my middle school, old playground. Kidding. So yeah, we went way back.
For those listening in the audience, where are each of you from? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the projects in Roxbury, Mass.
I grew up in Lynn, Massachusetts.
Okay. I've been to both. Yeah. Lynn, the city of sin. Once you go out, once you've been in, what is the saying go? Go ahead.
Never come out the way you went in.
Never go out. Yeah. And the projects in Roxbury, just off Huntington Avenue, at that area.
You don't want to go there.
No,
I've been there, just to be prepared to get robbed. So, just be prepared if you ever go there. Don't walk around by yourself either.
So I went to college at Northeastern University. You two know that, but for those listening. And they have a co-op program at Northeastern University. And being the slacker and entrepreneur that I was, I didn't want a big fancy corporate job. So I took an assistant manager job at Cajun Joe's Fried Chicken and Biscuits. And it was across from the Mission Hill Church up in Roxbury.
Oh,
and, to get home at night, you walk down the hill and connect with Huntington Avenue and you get back that way, or you call a cab if you had money, and I really didn't. And one night it was late and it was tired, and I decided I'm just going to cut through. And by cutting through, I'm cutting through the projects. And so I'm a white kid walking through the projects, a preppy college white kid walking through the projects at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. Actually, it's probably more like 11:30 because it was a fast food restaurant. And I got picked up by the police because they thought, I was a drug dealer. And it's like, no, I'm just walking home. I work right there. And I go to college in Northeastern. And the guy's like, you stupid ass, get in the car. You're going to get killed. And he dropped me off. And he's right. I was a stupid fool. And I was tired, but I was young and invincible. I would certainly never do it today. Is it about where you grew up in that area, Janine, or was it in that?
Well, yes. So, you're talking about you being a white kid. Now imagine being a 5 foot tall, skinny little Asian girl, 12 years old, walking home from the bus stop. It was really scary every single day.
Every day, I would imagine it was. Well, folks, you could check out where she grew up and some of the things that she went through in the film, and how impressive it is. The background is still told a little bit more in terms of your family and the educational success that you've had and that each of you have had. And then the daring, the chutzpah, if you will, to step away from that and jump into the entrepreneurial world. Both of your families, how did they feel about you abandoning the educational aspect and what they worked so hard for you to get to leave and go into this crazy world of online businesses?
I'm still questioning me all these years later. It was always any family event. So I left pharmacy to kind of start brick and mortar stores. So tanning salons, gyms, cafes, the type of thing. And any time it got brought up, it was, are you still doing that tanning thing? Are you still running that? When are you going to go back to pharmacy? It didn't matter how well I was doing, how good my life was. They always kind of, and my extended family, everything, it was always sort of that same thing. Are you going to be a pharmacist again?
Yeah.
You're worried about leaving pharmacy? So it's funny.
They didn't understand what you were really doing.
No, and they still don't. Now they really don't understand because now they can't see a store. That it's very different.
Now you don't work at all. You're at home barefoot all the time.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, what about you, Janine? You come from a different culture, from folks that came originally from a different country, and I know that my grandfather came over on the boat when he was from Greece when he was 17, didn't speak any English, and there was a certain work ethic and a certain way to do things, and that was it. Getting an education and then completely abandoning it was not what he would have allowed my father to do. How did your parents and how have your parents reacted to these choices that you've made in this world that you're in now?
Well, at the time I made the announcement, I was still living in the basement with my parents at the age of 34, divorced with 2 little kids, 2 and 3 years old. So my dad threatened to kick me out, and my mom threatened to never babysit again. And she was literally shaking. Like, my mom doesn't get mad. Like, she never gets mad. It's really rare to ever see my mom mad. But she was so upset. She was standing there with her fist by her waist, and she was shaking when she told me, I'm never babysitting for you again. And I just thought it was funny, because what kind of threat is a grandmother threatening to never see your grandkids again? It didn't even make sense.
Right.
We came to this country. My father, growing up, it was always, doctor, engineer, lawyer. Those are like our options, right? Doctor, engineer, lawyer. He's like drilled it into us that that's the only thing that we can do, get good grades. So we all did, all of my siblings. We have 5 pharmacists. We have a dentist. We have like 6, 7 doctor degrees in my family. And my parents, which is really weird, and this is why I don't understand why he couldn't understand where I'm coming from. They have a business. And because of their business and the success that came from the business, we were able to get out of the project, bought a house. He bought a brand new Lexus, and he was so proud of that thing. He was like waxing it every single day, which I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be. So I didn't understand why he couldn't understand that I wanted to do business. But I guess to my father, it was like, this is my last resort. Yeah. I am a blue collar worker. If I could, I would rather be an engineer or a doctor. Like, that's the way he saw business. It was his last resort because he couldn't do anything else. Because he couldn't be like a doctor of some sort.
Right. There's a certain level of security with that compared to, running the restaurant and being entrepreneurs like you are today.
Right. But,
so how do they feel now? Did both of your parents understand the success that you've had? And maybe not, Brian, you just said they still don't understand it, right?
Well, they don't understand what I do. When I say I'm working on the computer, they still don't understand e-commerce. Yeah. However, they do see, I have a nice home. I'm home with my kids all the time. Yeah. So now my little brother just started Amazon. He's also a pharmacist, also doing Amazon like a couple of weeks ago. My brother-in-law has started his own Amazon. Not sure how that's going. And my older brother, who's also a pharmacist, also wants me to teach him how to do Amazon. So they're coming around.
Yeah, but that's more work for you. It's like you've created this disease in the family where everybody needs to be an entrepreneur.
I wish I had just shut up about it.
When you're timing wise, how many years has it been since you guys have been, more or less 100% focused on online businesses?
17?
Yeah, so I quit my job April 28th, 2017, and went full time into Amazon.
So less than 3 years for both of you. Yeah. And we've had a multi-7-figure exit. And now you are running 3 other brands, and you'll be able to do that again. Because now that you know what it's like to build an exit, as you're operating the 3 brands that you have now, are you operating with a mindset of, okay, well, when it gets to this level, if we choose to, we can exit? Do you see that that's a lot of where the value is for you? Has it changed your mindset as an entrepreneur?
Yes and no. So we still run them as if we're keeping these businesses. So our goal especially with the ones we've purchased, we purchased 2 brands that were unprofitable brands, but had a lot of really good work kind of behind them. So like creative assets, a very good branding, a lot of history. So both brands that we bought were more than 45 years old. But they were never able to kind of like make that turn of taking this business that's generating a lot of revenue and making them profitable.
Right.
And in both cases, it seems like their goal was that giant exit. And it was, we need to grow. We need to kind of put all of our efforts into, the assets of the brand and like the creativity and the branding itself, which they did awesome jobs at. But we're losing money every single month. So when we take over a brand, that's kind of our first thing is we need to make this brand profitable. And even if that means scaling back on revenue, we're going to kind of take a step backwards. We're going to figure out our cost of goods, our advertising, shut things off where we need to, and build back up. With the brand that we purchased in April, we've been able to do that without losing any sales. I mean, we intended to lose sales because we shut ads off. We really said, okay, we need to start over. We need to kind of base this from, we need profit every single day, every single sale. And we'll do that as we grow and we still look to exit, but we really focus on profitability over growth.
And that's an important way to look at it, because that's actually what brings the value. This is not a SaaS company that is, growing and eventually will flip to a multiple of revenue, or
right.
A business that's, doing 40 million in revenue with 40% of its recurring that will eventually flip to a multiple of revenue either. We're talking e-commerce businesses, brands that you're promoting and selling, and it's going to be a multiple of that bottom line.
Right, but there's still I'm sure you see it every day, there's such a big misconception that that's not everybody's thinking. They're growing these brands, they're throwing money into them, they're getting investors and outside money to grow them for this giant exit, whereas they spend 5 years losing money.
And then the giant exit doesn't come. They're exhausted.
Yep. And we end up picking them up for pennies on the dollar, and it's.
Now, you guys have each other to work with and off of each other. For those that are individual entrepreneurs that are out there, how important are the mastermind groups like, what I mentioned in the opening here, which is Blue Ribbon Mastermind? How critical is that for somebody that's, on their own, as opposed to you guys, in your opinion, where you've got each other?
Well, entrepreneurs, none of your friends will ever understand what you're doing. It's a very, very solo journey almost. So you definitely do need that for the friendship, for the support, but also valuable things that we share, like you mentioned in Ezra's group. Everyone shares everything. And sometimes all it takes is one strategy. If you pick up 100 different strategies and try them all, sometimes all it takes is for one of them to work to really take your business to the next level. So, being part of, we're part of multiple masterminds because we recognize how important that is.
Yeah. You feel the same way, Brian?
Absolutely.
You've got, it's interesting. You've got different personalities, and I've seen you at these different ones, and you gravitate towards different people, and Brian, you're often quiet, and Janine, you're talking to people. You're learning different things and different things for each other as well. Like,
right. Yep.
Between the two of you, as you're operating a business, for those of us, how do you do it together as a couple? Do you have specific roles in the business and you kind of stick to your lane a little bit? Do you cross over? How does it work?
I tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah. Okay. That's how life is. All right. Yeah. Gentlemen.
Pretty
right?
much.
Do you listen, Brian?
If that were the case, things wouldn't get done. So it's actually completely the opposite. Yeah.
Well, I do know, for those, again, go back to the original podcast I did with Brian and Janine. There was a fateful day when you went out for ice cream, and Brian said, no. We got to buy more inventory than that. And I'm going to recap it, and you guys tell me where I get it wrong. But you had launched this brand, and a couple of months in, it was taking off, and you thought, I've got to buy more inventory. And you went out and you talked about it, and Janine, you laid it out for Brian. You said, this is what we've got to do. And Brian said, no, scratch that. you need $100,000 worth of inventory?
Yep. So I was trying to map out 10,000 here, 2,000 here, 5,000 here, 10,000 there. I had like a 2-month plan. And this guy tries to tell me, no, you need $100,000 right now.
Right now. And it's a ballsy move, courageous, brave, incredibly foolish if you had failed, maybe, but you had a path and it worked. Again, folks, go to the other one, but Janine, she did it. She raised $100,000 in 5 days. So everybody that's out there that's constantly saying there's no money available, how do I get more? Janine had a way of doing it, timing it all properly so that she could get it from a bunch of different resources. So go listen to it. We're not going to talk too much about it, but it's pretty incredible, courageous in both of you, and brave, taking action and getting that done. So that's just incredible. What do you guys, as you look forward, what do you see for the two of you in the next couple of years? Are you going to just to focus on what you have now and building those up and making them, as you said, Brian, as profitable as possible? Or do you think if the right things come along, that might be a good add-on, good bolt-on, you buy more, build the value of the business? What do you think is going to happen? Do you have a plan, or are you just sort of winging it?
Sort of winging it, because if you asked us 3 months ago, we weren't looking for another brand to buy.
Yeah.
But we're always looking. So we would open up every Quiet Light email, and sometimes I'm scared to request info because I don't want to be too interested, because we're busy. And when we had the previous brand that we sold, it was pretty much 100% Amazon business. So the workload of that was a lot less than now. Now we're doing Amazon that's kind of really, we're at like 30% Shopify on one brand, and then the brand that we just bought is not even on Amazon. So our workload has changed. Our education has changed. So we've had to learn a lot of things, and we still do 95% of all of the work ourselves. So we have one VA that answers some customer service emails. That's it. It's really us. So we keep saying, we keep laughing, like 2021 is going to be the greatest year, because this year we had like stock outs, we had changed manufacturers multiple times. One of the major parts of our brand, we just never got to restock after June, like mid-June, and we're still having like record numbers. And so now we're starting to like look forward to 2021, where we've kind of solidified some new vendors, and we've got our pricing down, we got quality up, like everything's really starting to come together.
In the mastermind world, when you're looking forward like this, I know that with Blue Ribbon, they're more established entrepreneurs because there's a minimum to get in and join the group. With some of the other mastermind groups that you're in, or folks that are just starting out, that are listening to this, and let's say they just bought something, they just bought an FBA business. Do you have 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you would give them if you're having, an ice cream out on a Sunday?
Well, I think you can the Facebook group. That's kind of where I started. That Facebook group, I think a few years ago, had like 20,000 members when I was first in there. Now, I don't know when the last time I checked was, but I'm pretty sure there's over like 100,000 members in that group.
Which Facebook group?
Helium 10.
Helium 10. Got it. Okay.
So that's I think they call it FBA High Rollers Group.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the name has changed, but it's run by the people at Helium 10. Very, very helpful people in there. A lot of beginners, some intermediate, but the whole group just really supports one another. So I definitely recommend that for sure.
Okay.
And listen to podcasts. Just while you're driving, podcast. On the bus, podcast. On the train, podcast. On the airplane, podcast. Just listen until you can no longer learn anything new. And, for me, I'm still learning. So there's just so much information out there. I'm always listening to some kind of podcast.
So, in that regard, learning, like, as you said before, if you've got hear 100 ideas and one of them takes off, it changes your business dramatically. How do you choose which ones to implement? Because there's so many opportunities and so many strategies. I've seen people just shut down because they're so overwhelmed that they want to do everything, but they get so overwhelmed with trying to do everything, they don't do anything really, really well. Yeah. What advice do you have, Brian, in that regard?
Trial and error. It gets easier. Now we'll listen to things, and instinctively we know some of the things that are being talked about just don't work. A lot of people teach with theory, and you can almost tell some things aren't put into practice, and you hear a lot of things, especially in the Amazon world. It's sort of like Amazon's very specific, the Amazon FBA, compared to like having your own brand. And then a lot of times you'll hear things that it could just send you off into like such a wrong direction. But I don't know if I have any really good advice, except for, I guess, do your research. It's trial and error, though. It's trying to focus on, I think, your biggest wins. Like there's a million strategies that you can try, but we always look at like what's going to actually increase revenue, what is going to increase profit, so try to kind of narrow it down to what's going to give you the biggest wins.
And do you narrow it down as well to what is within your current skill set? Because you don't want to promote yourself to your own level of incompetence and try to
right.
You're just going to blow up.
Yeah.
So do you, in just thinking about that, do you gravitate towards the things that are within your comfort zone, or are you constantly stepping outside of your comfort zone?
I think a pretty good combination of both. I mean, I think we definitely always gravitate to where we're comfortable, but like with these new brands, we're forced to step outside that. And if it weren't for like Blue Ribbon and stuff like that, where we can just lean on people that have done it, seen it, then we're just probably throwing money and trying every strategy out there and wasting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even just learning like what tools successful, shop owners are using and stuff like that, and which ones are not good, little tips that you pick up that, sometimes we'll install an app on our Shopify store blindly trying things, and it's,
we try it because we hear about it on the podcast. Then we try, and then we're like, oh, that didn't work for us. So, all right, I'll try something else.
Yeah.
But if there's one thing I say you should always do by yourself, is advertising. I would never outsource advertising. I tried that a couple of times, didn't work out so good. So, for those of you out there with the intention of, well, I'll just outsource this and I'll just outsource that. The one piece of advice I can say is do not outsource your advertising on any platform.
And what platforms are you advertising on now?
So Amazon, Facebook, Google. So the three main ones, mm-hmm. But at the very minimum, like you have to kind of get the grasp of it on your own first, because once you outsource, you don't really have sort of a benchmark. And even though we keep preaching this and we try to really follow through, we outsourced some stuff on our new brand, and we gave it a try, and we so bad wanted it to work. Yeah. And we ended up taking back over after giving it 3 months. But if there's certain things that they do right, and if we didn't know what we could do on our own, we wouldn't really have any gauge of like, are they doing good? Is what they're telling us true? Like, is right. This going to eventually just work out, miraculously? And
right. I think this is a great piece of advice. I know that I always did my own. I never got any really great training, though. I learned by trial and error. And you guys do the same, mm-hmm. but through the mastermind groups that you're members of. I know. Do Blue Ribbon Mastermind members get access to all of the Smart Marketer courses?
Yes.
They get access to everything that Ezra produces.
Yeah. And so there's...
Yeah. So that's incredible.
Molly's got Click Happy up there. It's on my mantle over there. Yeah. That's all Facebook advertising.
I'm forcing both of my kids to read that. So,
are you really?
Yeah. One's 21, one's 23. I keep giving it to them. Like, just read it. Just understand it. Because they're both still in college and they're still on the graduate, get a job. And I'm like,
all right, I need to grab it off the
knowledgeable. Yeah.
And try to do this without breaking anything. Here's my Christmas caroler thing. It's January now for people listening, so it's before Christmas. So the book is Click Happy by Molly Pittman. Molly's now CEO of Smart Marketer, and this is your guide to a meaningful life and a career in the digital era. there's your face there. We do actually get some people that watch on Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube. Okay, so I have it. It decorates my mantle, but I haven't read it yet. So like your kids, Brian, I'm going to actually read it. I'll read it over the holidays. So when we chat again, come January, and Quiet Giants 3 has launched, and you guys are able to say, Dad, Mom, just watch this. This is what I do. We can talk about Click Happy, and you can quiz me on it to make sure I've actually read it. And then I'll quiz your kids. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's always a pleasure talking with you too. You know, okay, I'm going to plug the book, right? So folks are tired of me. I always have to say this. Walker, I hope you're listening. I'm no Walker Dybel, but I did write a book. It will be published, as you all know, in April. And as you said, thank you for the blurb in the book, the acknowledgement that at first I was an advisor and now we're friends. And I want everybody out there that's listening, that is an entrepreneur, that is thinking about exiting their business someday, to not ever hire an advisor that is just a salesperson trying to get a commission out of them, because that's the last thing that we think of at Quiet Light. The first thing we think of is, how do I help these people understand what the value of what they have is, and then get them through that entire process, so that the next exit you have is going to be a hell of a lot easier, smoother. The preparation, the march towards it will be cleaner, and you become an exitpreneur, right? That's the name of the book, the Exitpreneur's Playbook. So thank you for the blurb. Again, I am no Walker Dybel, and I know you just bought your last business from Walker, so it's even a deeper inside joke for the three of us. Check out Buy Then Build as well, because we've plugged it, and it is a fantastic book for the buyers in the audience. Buy Then Build, and Walker has also the Acquisition Lab. But this is about Brian and Janine and the success that they've had as entrepreneurs, going from, being pharmacists to being online entrepreneurs who are now, at least Janine's family is starting to understand and follow in her footsteps. And now, Brian, your kids are reading Click Happy. It's funny how it all is intertwined, and we're all interconnected. We're not in islands anymore, even though we're more remote than we've ever been in this entrepreneurial world, working from home as we are now. But we're almost in many, many more ways interconnected because of the connection with Ezra, the connection with Molly and other mastermind groups, and Walker. And it's just the way it has to be. So for the introverts out there like me, like I know Brian is, Janine, would you consider yourself an extrovert or an introvert?
I'm definitely an introvert.
You are.
Being around people makes me tired. So that's the sign I am introvert.
That's the definite sign of an introvert. That's right. You go to an event, you got to go home, go to sleep. Take a nap in the middle of the day. Mastermind groups are not just for the extroverts. They're great places to meet and connect with people that are very like-minded. So find one, join one. Check out Quiet Giants 3 with Brian and Janine. It's coming out right around now when this is airing. Lastly, and Mark and I just starting to do this, please give us a review. Take a look, give us a review, give your comments. We'll give you some feedback. We'd greatly appreciate that in 2021. Brian and Janine, as always, thank you again for putting up with me and spending more of your time, in a sense, promoting Quiet Light. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. It's fun.